Hello everyone, as you know 2018 has come to an end and I apologize for delaying this list because I had some tough exams and before we begin, the games on this list are the games I played on 2018, not necessarily the games that were released on 2018, so yeah, expect that also. So without further ado, let's jump into this list. Legends of Forsaken Bride. Here you are going to your sister's marriage and then a bear attacks you and ruins your day. Great. That's unbearable, isn't it? Well, after fixing your carriage, you finally get to your sister's marriage. And then in the marriage, the same bear comes and kidnaps your sister. Here you have to save your sister and defeat the bear. But things may not be as simple as they seem in this game. Anyways, here's why I like this game. Well, at first, the story is pretty intriguing, and it keeps you hooked until the end. Also, the game's visuals are really well done, very good for the time, perhaps one of the best at the time. And yes, that's why I like this game. Why is this game at number 8, though? Well, I have one reason, and that reason is because the storyline isn't it kind of feels like they could have done more with that story, but they didn't do much with it. So yeah, that's why I have it this low on the list, but it's still on the list, and it means that it's a great game. Overall, I recommend this game for people who like fantasy and dark fantasy hidden object games, and people who like hidden object games in general should enjoy this one. Otherwise, the laws of physics have been tampered with. Another question I expect the viewers of the video to ask is this game suitable for my children? Well, if your child is above 10, I think they'll have no trouble with this game digesting the stuff in it, and they know that the stuff in this game is not literally reality. But for people lower than that age, I don't think that will happen that well. Phantasmic Behind the Mask. Here you are invited to a family reunion by your cousin in a mansion which used to belong to your ancestors. Things seem slightly off at first when you enter the mansion, but after signing the guest book and giving it to one of your family members, the door behind you closes and disappears. Yes, the door disappears. You can't escape now. It doesn't take long for you to realize that eccentric is an understatement when it comes to this family you're a part of. Well, why I like this game? Well, this game is pretty much a haunted house story, but the stuff in this game is far more interesting and far more complex than a generic haunted house story. So yeah, you've got that to look forward to. The thing I like about this game is the boss fights in each chapter, and each chapter is thematically different than the others. So yeah, that's also really interesting in my opinion. Recommended for fans of horror and gruesome mysteries. Well, is this a game for children? No, it isn't. The game should have arrived with a warning on Big Fish, but it didn't somehow. Consider the game a mature-only game for me, like somehow an ESRB-T. More on the above 15 side. Yes, that's it. And also, the game isn't that gory if you're worrying about that, and that's the reason you're not playing it. As an adult, of course, children should stay away from this game. Don't get near this if you're a child. Okay, fine. Whew. Anyways, it isn't really gory. It just the stuff you're mainly told about the stuff rather than shown. You are shown some of the stuff a little bit, but not enough to make this game supremely horrifying. I think I forgot to say why this game is where it is. Well, this game is at number 7 because it actually has a better story and gameplay when it comes to my opinion compared to Grim Legends. The reason this game is low on this list is because the Epix syndrome. Well, if you don't know what that is, Epix Entertainment is a game developer in the genre. You probably know that as a gamer. As a non-gamer, you may not know that. Anyways, the games these people make leave me a bit tired at the final chapter, and it kind of makes it feel chore-ish. This happens a little bit with this game, but not enough to be a fatal flaw. More like a minor flaw, compared to some of the other games by this studio, which this is a really big problem. Still a big enough problem that causes this game to be lower than the others in the list. So yes, I hope you understand. That's the main reason this game is at number 7. So yeah. Cadenza Music Betrayal and Death. Here you are going to your dad's music club after a long time you haven't seen him. And when you arrive there, you find all the people petrified. And there is a saxophonist wearing a white suit who appears to be the culprit behind this petrification. Well, now your objective is to find out who this person is and stop them and save the petrified people. Statues, I don't know, whatever it is. Well, why I like this game? First of all, the story is pretty intriguing and it's actually full of stuff. It's juicy, and there is a lot of interesting information regarding the storyline, which is really good. I also like the score in this game. By the score, I mean the soundtrack. It's really good. It's jazz and it's awesome. Overall, recommended for fans of mystery games, murder mystery games mainly, and jazz. Well, is this a good game for children? That's a bit of a tough question to answer, to be honest. Because this game has some slightly dark stuff to it and some slightly creepy areas, but it's overall not really, dark or scary. So I think same with Grim Legends, maybe a bit lighter than Grim Legends. Maybe I think 8 years old and above should not have problems digesting stuff in this game. Good. That's it. And the reason this is at number 6 is because the plot is really good and better than the other 2 games. But the other games on this list have more to them than a good story. So yeah. Also flows really well compared to Behind the Mask. Also, most recommendable game for musicians on this list. Maze Subject 360. Here you wake up in a room and a little girl informs you that you have the rare chance to join her sanctuary, but you must prove yourself worthy. And I think she's really mean and snobbish to ask you to prove yourself worthy to her. She's a 5-year-old after all. She could be your child probably. And yeah, well, anyways, you have to pass her tests and try to solve her puzzles or die. Yeah, here you can actually die in this game. And that's really interesting. Well, why I like this game? I briefly mentioned you can die, but that is possible through choices, which makes it really interesting and scarier. Because this is a horror game. And there's also a fear bar, which tracks your fear, and that's also really interesting. Yes. Overall, this is the first hidden object game I played that genuinely scared me. I had trouble sleeping that night, the night that I played Subject 360. Recommended for fans of truly scary horror, and yeah, that's it. I would recommend it to mystery fans, but I think people who watch mystery may not like this one that much. They may find it too much to stomach. Well, is this a game for children? Let me just say this. Do not ever give this to your child, ever! This is worse than Behind the Mask. The plot may not seem that scary, but the execution is 10 times scarier than Behind the Mask. And just play this if you're a grown-up and you have watched a few horror movies, because other than that, you probably won't be ready. Well, I don't know what age rating to give this game, because this is a bit tough. This scared me, but other teens may be comfortable playing this. No, preferably an M for mature, yeah, because it's really scary, at least for one night. Well, why is this game at number 5 then? Well, the main reason is because this game has those choices and the fear bar, which is really interesting, and the other games don't have that. This is kind of a revolutionary horror hidden object game. And the reason that it's not any higher is because the other games are better, generally. I think that's all I can say. I like the other games more. It's a bit personal preference, but also the third chapter for this game doesn't seem fitting because it explores some fantasy themes, and I don't go in a game that has a title arc this creepy for fantasy stuff. If I want fantasy stuff, I would rather play something like Grim Legends or Rite of Passage, not Maze. Maze is for horror. And anyways, other than that, this game is really good and I really like it. It's probably one of my favorite hidden object games ever. Yeah, if you want horror that is really believable and visceral, then check this out. It isn't gory at all, almost. There is some gore, but not enough. And the gore is not crucial to the scariness and the plot, so yes, that's it. Adam Wolf. Here you play as the titular Adam Wolf, who's looking for his sister in a supernatural version of San Francisco. This game is episodic, so each episode, which is a case he solves so conclusively. Each case he solves brings him one step closer to finding his sister, and the ultimate goal is to find Adam Wolf's sister in this game. So why I like the game? The game has a lot of cool features you don't see in any other hidden object game. There's a goddamn gun in the game, alongside with a watch that allows you to go back in time, and with a vision that allows you to analyze some stuff during crime scenes mainly. If that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will, let me be honest. And yeah, well, will I recommend this for children? No! A game with violence, with visceral portrayal of bodies, shouldn't be recommended for children. And yeah, there is also some horror. The horror isn't as dominating here as Subject 360, but it still has a place. And the main reason I'm not recommending this is because it's violent and bleak. Not recommending this for kids, actually. Adults should play this. It's really good. So play this if you like mystery games or truly dark mysteries mainly. And if you enjoy first-person shooter games, you may enjoy this. You're more likely to enjoy this than any other game in the genre. Also, this is number 4 because of its really cool features. That's why it's higher than the other games I mentioned before. And also, it has a really good storyline. It's pretty engaging. And another reason, mainly why it's lower than the others, well, I personally don't like really dark games. I like dark games that are dark to a certain degree, but I don't like the games that are dark enough to warrant a warning on Big Fish that much. Like, I like this, that's why it's here, but I don't like overly, supremely dark games that much compared to slightly, more mild dark games. Yeah. Enigmatis, the Mists of Ravenwood. Well, before I start talking about the game's story, I have to warn that this game's introduction has spoilers for the prequel. So yeah, continue watching if you have played Enigmatis, the Ghosts of Maple Creek, and if you haven't played it, there's a button for that to click on the later entries, so you won't have this spoiled. Has everyone here played Enigmatis, the Ghosts of Maple Creek? Good. Well, here you are after the very same preacher who escaped in the first. And it's been 2 years since the events of Maple Creek, and you have a new lead. There are people going missing near the west coast, and you go there to investigate. There you find a little girl in a camper. and she claims that her mom and dad are gone. And she says they are taken by a monster. And at first it may not seem that believable, but then the very same monster, which is a giant raven, comes and takes her away as well. But you're not taken away. All this happens near a park, which is there, and it cannot be found on any map. But does that place have the clues, and will you save them in time? That's the question that you'll have an answer for near the end of the game. Well, why I like this. First of all, this game has a fantastic storyline, like one of the best in hidden object gaming type of fantastic. That's what I mean. And second, the evidence wall, which has returned from the first game and is awesome. This is how the evidence wall works. You focus on a slightly minor part of the case, and when you find evidence related to that minor part, you see how it fits in the bigger picture, and it's really interesting. And this happens a lot. You have to do this evidence wall thing a lot of times in the game, but it doesn't feel repetitive. Every time you learn something new about the case. Pretty much the evidence wall is a really cool way of coming to the conclusion of all this and solving the mystery. And yes, so why is this at number 3? Well, it has a really good story, and the evidence wall is also another reason it's at number 3. And, you know, it's not as dark as Maze Subject 360 or Atom Wolf, so that is another. Well, I like this more in tone than Subject 360 and Atom Wolf, because those two games are too dark. Well, for me, I like the games I play to have good feels, and those two don't, but this game does, so that's why it's higher than those two, if you're curious. And by good feel, I don't mean good atmosphere. I mean I want to feel good. And those two games don't leave really good feelings in me after playing them. Maze Subject 360 left a lot of terror and fear in me, and Atom Wolf kind of made me sad. Oh yeah, personal feel is the main reason this is above the other entries. And why is it lower than the other two? Well, it doesn't have really good puzzles. That's why. Puzzles aren't really thought about. They aren't really challenging like they should be in a balanced way. So yeah, they're really easy. And as Enigmatis the Mists of Ravenwood. And also, before I forget, is this a good game for kids? Well, I think they should be at least 10 years old. No, not 10 years. 12 years old this time. Because here we have some horror themes. Like there's a scene with a lot of corpses and stuff. I'm not like, no, you shouldn't buy this game for your kids because it isn't still that dark, but it's still dark. So yeah, you gotta watch out. Mystery Case Files Broken Hour. Here you play as a master detective, or the way the Queen likes to put it, master detective. And you're sent to find the Queen's photographer and friend, and his last known location was Huxley Boarding House, which is a boarding house which represents what Victorian life used to look like. The technology is banned. Well, yes, now you have to find him in this boarding house. Well, why I like this game? First of all, this game has a really good story and really good puzzles, and I really like the atmosphere and vibe. And will I recommend this game for kids? I think for kids above the age of 12 or 10, no, 12, it should be okay. But for other kids, I don't recommend it, no, for kids of a lower age. So yeah, and why is this at number 2? Well, it's mainly because of the puzzles and the really fun atmosphere, and also the good story. And why isn't it number 1? Well, my number 1 spot has something really special, which I will talk about in that entry. So yeah, this is Mystery Case Files Broken Hour. Dark Parables Ballad of Rapunzel. Here you play as the fairy tale detective. You receive a new case. In the new case, it is indicated that there has been a strain of toxic pollen found in a town at a mountain base in Czechoslovakia. And the only sign of warning for the pollen is a song. And those who come in contact with the pollen die of illness. And yet, allergies aren't that bad in comparison. Well, after whereas you're informed that this case has a connection with Rapunzel, and she's in a kingdom. You've got to stop the pollens from continuing, the pollen phenomenon from continuing, and Rapunzel is kind of a lead here. So, why I like this game? Well, it has good story, good gameplay, good visuals, good feel, 3 endings, and that's the main reason the game is special to me, the 3 endings. And really nice character writing also, and it's a very good adaptation of fairy tales. Well, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this entry, and then I'll say if this is a good game for kids or not. Well, I think this is also a 7+ when it comes to a child-friendly rating, because the stuff is not that dark tonally, but there is some dark stuff. Not enough to make it supremely dark, but still some dark stuff in there. And well, the main reason I really like this game is the 3 endings and the fact that Rapunzel has been turned into a really awesome story here, unlike the original. I don't like the original story that much, I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, that's it with Dark Parables, Ballad of Rapunzel. Well, that's it with the video. If you liked it, click on the like button, definitely. And also subscribe if you really liked it and want to see stuff like this come on, and want to see me do Let's Plays. And share with your friends as well if you thought it was really good. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do not forget these. Well, after doing work for this video, I realized that working on YouTube isn't that easy. So yeah, credit to every big YouTuber out there. PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, and let me see who else I know that is really big. I don't know much other people, but yeah, props to everyone who makes YouTube videos daily, because that takes a lot of work, and if their videos are good. So yeah, and I want to play Haunted Hotel Beyond the Page probably after this, or maybe Dreadful Tales: The Space Between. I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna decide about the game. So yeah, I hope you liked it. I've been Detective Assassin. If you have any list suggestions, Let's Play suggestions, and you know, anything you want to say, post it in the comments down below. And also, have a nice day or night. Detective Assassin out.